Good evening and welcome back. I'm Candace Goodman. Tonight, we are not reacting to headlines. We are reading the structure underneath them, because when the world feels chaotic, the most important changes are rarely loud. They move quietly through policy language, market behavior, and collective psychology long before they show up in everyday conversation. Today is Wednesday, January 21st, 2026, and the global landscape is reorganizing itself in real time. From the mountain meetings in Switzerland to kitchen tables across the United States, a new framework is being assembled. Not a story, a system. And when systems shift, outcomes follow. We begin where the world's decision-makers have been watching closely. This week in Davos, Switzerland, leaders gathered once again at the World Economic Forum. Davos is not a conference. It is where alignment is tested. Heads of state, central bankers, corporate leaders, and institutional investors go there to signal intentions, not to make speeches. And this year, the signal was clear. President Trump used the Davos stage to formally step back from proposed tariff actions against the European Union after months of escalating tension tied to Greenland, trade access, and geopolitical leverage in the Arctic. There was no dramatic announcement, but markets responded immediately. US equities rallied, European markets followed. A fear premium that had quietly settled into global valuations began to unwind. This was not reconciliation, it was recalibration. The system is moving from confrontation toward stability because certainty has become more valuable than dominance as the 2026 midterms approach and global growth slows. Before we continue, a brief pause to highlight a company aligned with how the future is being visualized. HyperVSN is redefining how digital information is experienced. While most of the world still thinks in flat screens, HyperVSN creates holographic visuals that allow ideas to exist in three-dimensional space. In an age of overload, depth is becoming the new advantage. Back to the signal. That renewed confidence showed up immediately in the bond market. The 10-year Treasury yield fell to approximately 4.26% following the Davos de-escalation. Bond yields are the nervous system of global finance. When they fall after geopolitical tension cools, it signals renewed trust in US assets and belief that near-term disruption has been postponed. For households, this matters in practical ways. Borrowing pressure eases. Mortgage planning becomes clearer. Business financing stabilizes. This is the system exhaling. Now we move from global markets to the most personal one of all, housing. This week, an executive order was issued restricting large institutional investors from bulk purchasing single-family homes. For years, private equity quietly transformed starter homes into financial instruments, pricing families out of ownership and turning neighborhoods into balance sheets. This order forces a correction. It will not be instant, and it will not be painless, but it changes direction. For first-time buyers, this is a signal to prepare. Financing readiness matters now more than ever, as institutional sellers may quietly begin to unwind positions before further restrictions emerge. This is not a housing collapse, it is a rebalancing of access. Another brief pause to highlight a tool built for clarity in complex systems. Yuka is empowering consumers to understand what they are actually buying and consuming. By scanning products and revealing ingredients and trade-offs, Yuka shifts power from marketing narratives back to individual choice. In an era of hidden costs, transparency is an act of sovereignty. Back to the report. Consumer debt has reached historic levels, and the pressure is no longer ignorable. This week, the administration proposed a one-year 10% cap on credit card interest rates. Banks are pushing back, but the signal has already landed. This is not only about legislation, it is about leverage. Consumers do not need to wait for laws to pass. This headline alone creates negotiating power. Rates can be challenged, balances can be restructured, exposure can be reduced. Power often shifts before policy becomes permanent. As tax season approaches, the effects of the Big Beautiful Bill are coming into focus. Tips, overtime, and Social Security income are now tax-free. For millions of Americans, this represents the first meaningful surplus they have seen in years. For builders and early-stage entrepreneurs, this refund may function as seed capital. The system is quietly shifting the tax burden away from labour and toward consumption. Cash flow matters again. Infrastructure is also re-entering the spotlight. Artificial intelligence and data centres are driving power demand far beyond what existing grids were designed to handle. As a result, investment is accelerating into grid reliability, energy storage, smart distribution, and modular power solutions. This is not ideological, it is logistical. Grid technology has become the picks and shovels of the AI era. Quiet, essential, and unavoidable. In Washington, the Supreme Court is weighing a case that could redefine central bank independence. At issue is whether a president can remove a Federal Reserve governor for policy disagreement. This matters deeply. If monetary policy becomes political, long-term capital retreats. Early signals suggest the court may protect the Fed's autonomy, preserving data-driven decision-making over political pressure. Institutions matter most when they are tested. With 10 months until the 2026 midterms, messaging has shifted decisively. Both parties are now focused on affordability: food, energy, housing, healthcare. Early generic ballots show a modest Democratic lead, with roughly 18 House seats moving into competitive territory. Markets are already preparing for the possibility of split government, a scenario that historically slows legislation while increasing predictability. We close tonight by looking back to look forward. Across cultures, there is renewed interest in ancient wisdom that speaks to balance, order, and self-governance. One of the most enduring is the Emerald Tablet attributed to Thoth. Its core principle is simple and timeless: as above, so below. The idea that the structure of the inner world shapes the outcomes of the outer one. While institutions negotiate frameworks for the global system, individuals are reclaiming their internal architecture. Clarity is becoming currency. Alignment is becoming leverage. Adventure is returning as an antidote to apathy. In 2026, sovereignty is not only financial, it is perceptual. As the world accelerates, remember this: information is everywhere. Insight is rare. Every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, we are here to help you read the system rather than react to it. Organize your inner world with intention. Act clearly in the outer one. Sovereignty is practiced, not granted. I'm Candace Goodman, and this has been the Good News Report.